Welcome, everybody, to another episode in Subject Shift. And today's episode will be college and career. And today, Miss Black will be joining me. And Miss Black, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Amanda Black. I have experience in the college admissions world. I worked as a college admissions counselor, an assistant director of admissions for 4 years right out of college. And then I got my master's in school counseling, and then I was a school counselor for 5 years, high school counselor for 5 years. And then recently I've been teaching a college and career prep class at our homeschool co-op.
Awesome. And so today we'll be kind of reviewing just like general stuff of like high school, going into college, that kind of uncomfortable zone where people don't really have like those specific answers, because I think a lot in high school you have those classes, you need to get those credits, but then after that, if you don't really think ahead, you don't really have a plan and you're kind of at a loss. So first, let's start off with the credits for high school, like the SAT and like any extracurricular dual class credits.
Okay, so what you need to be doing while in high school, right?
Yeah.
Credits needed really depends on which students we're talking to, but if you're a homeschool student in Texas, a good place to look is the graduation requirements for Texas public schools. So you or your parents can look on their website, TEA, Texas Education Agency website, and find the requirements for the different diploma requirements for public school. And as a homeschool parent, that's what I've just used as a guideline. So it's basics, for English, for math, for sciences. That's kind of fairly new in the past couple of decades, where that's just been a standard. For social studies like histories and government. Some of the elective choices and little half credits like speech and health may or may not be necessary for a homeschool student. So in that case, I would suggest by about your end of your sophomore year of high school, junior year of high school for sure, be looking at what you think might be some colleges you're considering and look at their requirements and then contact them if there's something specific. What I've been hearing is that a lot of times they're not super picky about some of those other things. It's whatever you work toward for your homeschool high school diploma. So I would want to hear it from a couple of admissions offices of different universities for those other credits.
I got you. And just like, I guess most colleges have like a website where they have contact information.
Yes.
So this is kind of diverging, but would you say, like, as you're passed as, like, a college admissions, is it better to call, email? Are there, like, anything that, like, specifically makes a student stick out in those situations?
Yes. Where I worked was a small college, and so I had a territory, and so I knew a lot of the kids in my territory because I had seen them when they came to campus, maybe with a large group visit, if I went to visit their high school, or we would even have events in the evenings in our most popular areas. And so if they attended that, I would get to know them there. I even did church visits because we were a private school. But and then also if they visited more than once. So you over 2 years, you've had opportunities to see them multiple times. And so I was able to be a voice for them, especially if there was an admissions question, like if they were questionable admissible, but even more so for scholarship consideration. So I guess I would say the more you can meet personally, either through email, but especially face-to-face on campus visit, or if they visit your area at college night. We've been talking a lot with UT Tyler, and it's the same admissions representative that I saw at College Fair that came to visit our class, that talked to us before the tour, and so he knows my daughter, he knows me. We even see him at church. So I feel comfortable asking him questions. Now, I don't know if that's going to play out down the road for scholarship. I don't think he has anything to do with scholarship. But I do think if you're a questionable admission candidate, or if that office has anything to do with scholarships, then it can definitely
Right, you can definitely go ask. And then, so there's kind of these, I like to consider kind of 3 quote-unquote main ways of exiting high school. So what we first discussed is college, and then I would say gap year, and then just like no college at all. So with that gap year, how will that like affect your college experience? Because I know like a lot of seniors, my sister, she did a gap year before going into college, but like how would that affect you versus just going straight into college or your bachelor's?
Well, it's a mixed review, and I have mixed opinions about it. So it can be super helpful if you take advantage of it and do it well, which I'm pretty sure your sister did. We talked a little bit with her about it. But it can also just be, well, I'm just going to take a break from school, so I'm going to work full time, and I'm not really going to do anything productive with that time except make money. So you have to, if you're taking a gap year truly to kind of help refine what you think you might be interested in, then you're going to use that time to get some type of a part-time job or volunteer experience in that career field that you're considering, or maybe even more than one career field if you really just can't narrow it down. You might take a class in a subject that you didn't do well in high school. Like if you had a low grade in a math or science class and you want to kind of show that you are able to do well in it, you might just take that one class during that year at college level, maybe at the junior college. So if you use it well, it can be very beneficial. If you really are kind of burned out from high school, then it could be restful to take a break and just have work. And when you're done with work, you're done with your responsibilities. But it can be wasted too. And if you're not really taking it seriously or doing anything with that time except working. And it can be hard to get back into the habit of being in school. It can be hard to get back in that mode of the fall, back to school, Christmas break, spring, back to school, have a little break in summer, and you're working really hard for, 9 or 10 weeks out of the, each semester. So if that happens, it can be hard to do anything and go ahead and take those standardized tests again if you need to, spend time making really good applications and essays and applying for scholarships. So I don't know if that
so
helps you,
it
but
kind of, yeah,
I get
it.
You don't waste that time.
Yeah, so it depends on the person and like your work ethic, man. So then kind of with what you said kind of with that of working and, getting some experience in those careers you are interested in, and you can't quite file it down. But how do degrees affect your career and your path choice? Because I've had a few people, they say, degrees, they don't really matter, or they are very important. So what is kind of your opinion on that?
There are many jobs where the particular college degree you earned doesn't really matter. That is true. Like once you have earned that degree, even your GPA in college, that as long as you earned a degree, there are many jobs that is what's going to open the door. It doesn't have to be in something that you studied. So that's first of all. However, there are many other career fields where what you studied in college directly impacts your ability to get that job. So, so in that case, then the specific degree does matter. In this day and age, I think the most important thing to remember is that what you decide as a high school student is important, but it's not, it does not have to define your path for the next 20 or 30 years. You want to do well. I am a proponent of college. I know that we all know some people who never attended college and who are happy with their careers, and even some who are really wealthy, that they've done awesome with a startup business, or they've invented something or streamlined the process, and they then sold that to someone else. And so we know people who have done that without the college experience. And so and there are lots of careers that you need a certificate or maybe a 2-year degree, and you will do great. But I do think you need some type of I am definitely a proponent of some type of post-high school education.
Okay.
But so there are some careers that require specific degrees. Like if you want to be an accountant, you have to have an accounting degree. If you want to go into nursing, at some point you will have to get a nursing degree. You don't necessarily have to get a bachelor, your first degree in it, but you do have to have a degree. Medicine, of course, anything in the health field, you eventually have to get a degree in that field. Now, there are many career paths that you can get to from a graduate level. So, if you're choosing your undergraduate major, so that means your first degree after high school. I did want to kind of go over the different degrees. So, the quickest degree you can earn is called an associate's degree, and that's just a 2-year degree, and you get it from a junior college or community college. However, you do not have to have an associate's degree to move on to the bachelor's degree or 4-year degree that you get from a university. So that's a step that can be skipped, but that's also can be a final step. My stepmom got her associate's degree from TJC. She went to school for 2 years for radiology, x-ray tech, and she did that for a long time, 15, 20 years, and then as MRI technology came out, she continued going to school because even no matter what field you're in, you're going to have continuing education. She would go to classes, take courses, and became an MRI tech, and she did that for her entire career, worked with Mother Frances Hospital her entire career, and retired with the 2-year degree. So you don't have to build beyond that at all. You don't have to have it at all. You can skip that step and just go straight to a bachelor's degree. That's typically what you call a 4-year degree. And so that's where you kind of pick a field, like you were saying. So if you get a Bachelor of Arts degree, that's more of the humanities, history, social studies, those kinds of. I had a Bachelor of Arts degree in English. Bachelor of Science degree would be another popular one. That would be any of your sciences, maths. You can actually get like a Bachelor of Science degree in English, and all that means is you have your elective classes or your other classes outside of your major would have been more science and maths instead of mine were histories and Englishes and histories, foreign language, that kind of thing. So I could have been an English major with a Bachelor of Science degree. Just you don't typically do that.
Right.
But if I was an English major who wanted to be pre-med, if I wanted to major in English as my first degree, but then I knew I wanted to go to med school or nursing school, dental school, pharmacy, anything like that, it would have been good if I would have then get a Bachelor of Science degree because I'm going to be taking all those requirements to get into the graduate program. Right. So you can also get a Bachelor of Business Administration, a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree if someone's like music, theater, vocal performance, that kind of thing. So you choose a degree at the 4-year level, and then you also choose a major within that degree. Okay. So that's where. So you have multiple choices that you're making as you're applying, as you're entering college. You're selecting a major, or you're going undeclared for a year or two. You're selecting a degree path, and then you're always thinking about the back of your mind: am I going to go on to higher education, graduate school, postgraduate? So that would be you're either looking at a master's degree level, which can take 1 to 3 years, or you can go straight into a doctoral program or an MD, like a PhD would be after the graduate level. A lawyer is a doctorate level. And then certifications and license requirements kind of fall everywhere in there. Okay. Because you might not have any degree at all, but you might be a certified like air conditioner repair or something like that. You may have just gone straight to a certification level, or all the way up to master's level. After I got my master's in school counseling, I still had to get certified as a school counselor, so I still had to study for and take a test. Okay. And then you're constantly working on your license requirements. So anytime you hear like a certification or a license, that can really fall at any level between after high school. Like you can become a certified pharmacy tech or a vet technician after high school, right out of high school, and that could be your job that you kept your whole career. If you take the test, you take the requirements, you take the test, and you never went to any school at all. That's maybe way more information than you wanted, but I wanted to throw that. It's great. Good to know the different degrees, and anytime when you're thinking about did you go to college, typically people mean a 4-year bachelor's degree. But there's also the associate's degree that would be considered going to college. And then beyond that means you got at least a bachelor's degree, so then you worked toward a master's or a doctorate or a MD, something like that.
Yeah. I was wondering, so you said you were talking about majors. Can you get like a minor in something?
Yes, you can. You can, number one, have a double major. So if you really can't decide and you feel like you're probably going to take the requirements for both of those things that you love, you can get a double major. Especially is easy with if you bring in credits from high school, like dual credit, like you mentioned, and we can talk more about that. If you took college classes while you were still in high school, so you might be able to double major fairly easily. But within your degree requirement, you're going to have elective courses, like courses that you can take that aren't required, and those are going to count toward your total number of credits. Well, if you decide, you really can't decide between like theater and English. I want to take theater classes, and you're going to end up getting those credits anyway, then you can easily get a double major. I ended up having a double minor. So a minor it's not required. You don't have to have a minor to graduate from college, but a lot of people do because you end up taking a majority of your other classes in that field. So I ended up having a history and a Spanish minor because for my program, I think I had to have 4 semesters of Spanish or a language, and I liked it. I enjoyed the teachers. I was good at it, and so I ended up just taking 2 more classes. So for 6 classes, I had a minor. And you can definitely change your major. Lots and lots of kids go into college thinking that they're going to be one major, and they take a few classes after 1 semester or 2 semesters, sometimes later, although you don't want to get too late. Then they decide, I really don't think I want to, go to law school, so I really think I want to go ahead and do this instead. So you can easily change your major.
Okay, I got you. And then kind of veering away from that, what's the difference between having, college experience versus no college experience, especially in, job situations?
Okay,
yeah.
Looking for a full-time career job with no college experience.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to be a proponent of college because while you're in college, you're not just getting the coursework or training that you need for a certain field. A lot of fields do want that training, especially in the medical field, in the business field. But even notwithstanding, college also has a lot of opportunities where there will be whole departments set aside to help you find a job. There's a career center where they will give you mock interviews and help you look at your resume and help you even dress for your interview and practice and bring in employers on campus, have job fairs on campus. And so even notwithstanding the schoolwork and the coursework, you're making connections with professors that can help you in that field. And it has just all the resources of bringing employers to you and you getting out to employers. If you are not going to college, but you are driven and you do want a career that does not require a college degree, definitely it can happen. It's just going to require that you network. I know we kind of hate to hear that, but it's true. So many jobs are because that you get are from your network of who you know. And remembering, oh, yes, I do have somebody that I know that's in that field, and can I go? And I already have this part-time job that's paying my bills, but I'm really interested in this career. Is there anything for me in your office or in your business? And so you have to initiate and find connections, usually. I know that we all know stories of people who didn't go to college, just did things on their own, threw it out there, and it became a success. But,
right. That's kind of 1 in a million.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that a college experience and education is never going to hurt you unless you go into debt to get it.
Right.
So that's the flip side, is that I would say do it wisely. If you can only afford to take classes part-time and work full-time at the local community college or the local school and stay at home, I would recommend that over going in debt. I did go to a private school, but I had a lot of need-based financial aid. My parents were divorced, and you don't have to list your second parent's salary, and so we only listed my mom's salary. My stepdad was disabled. And then I had academic scholarships that helped fill in the gap, and so for about $2,000 a year, I got a private school education. I did take out a part of some loans that were offered to me, but I was able to pay those back within the first 2 years of working full-time, and they weren't accruing interest while I was in school. So I'm not saying never, ever, ever take out a loan, but it doesn't need to be large, and it needs to be super manageable. But so that's why I would say where college education can hurt you in that case, if people are still paying off their loans and they're in a career they feel like they're stuck because they studied it in school. I would say you don't ever have to feel stuck in a career, because now education is so accessible. You can easily do something at home, working full time, and still study something else if there's a career path that opens up that you want to try. You don't ever have to say like, oh, I went to school for this, I'm gonna have to do this forever.
Okay. And then kind of I've heard of like online colleges. I was kind of wondering about that because I haven't had any experience with people going out into like doing online college. So do you know anything about that, or like the experience with that is like, I feel like a lot of people might say like if you got an online college degree, it wouldn't be like quote unquote a real degree. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And you're talking about for their bachelor's degree, like for the first time, the first degree after high school. I don't know a ton about it, but what I have observed just in knowing people who have been working on a degree, and there's actually a venture graduate who did that, I think, exclusively. I can tell you who that is later, but it's never completely online. I mean, you will have some weeks that you need to spend on campus. So if it's Grand Canyon University or Liberty University or wherever it is far away, just know that traveling there at least once a year, maybe more, for some period of time is going to be part of it too. But I think it's kind of like this homeschool co-op that we're in right now. I mean, you have to be a self-starter, responsible to get all your work done. I mean, you're not going to have that face-to-face interaction with the professor or even the other students in the class to kind of like prompt you or give you that competitive spirit to be, like, oh, well, I want to do as well as that person. I know that I've put in more effort than them or whatever it is. So you really have to be a self-starter and have that initiative to do it on your own. That with technology, I mean, you can definitely, I don't think that it is a lesser degree. On your resume, it's going to be that you got a BA from this school, and the employer who's interviewing you never even will know whether you lived on campus and you went into debt to do it, or you did it from home while you're working full time.
Yeah.
All that could be disclosed by you, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, it's just going to be that you have this degree, here's my transcript, and they can see your grades that you earned.
I got you. And then kind of with college, going back into that, I've seen a lot of like military work, ROTC kind of thing. And well, my mom and my cousin were a part of ROTC. So I was kind of wondering with that, like, how should you choose whether to do ROTC or just have your bachelor's?
Okay. I don't know a lot about ROTC. I always think of it as a high school program, but it is at the college level too. And so I will have to get more information about what that is. We did just have the Army recruiter come and speak to us last week, and here are my thoughts about military. It can be an awesome option, and there are kind of three options. What do you know about ROTC?
So I know it's kind of like a preparatory. You take it kind of as a preparatory to go into the military and do your service.
Mm-hmm. Is it an elective at the college?
So I think
campus?
I think you can choose it, and it is at the college. But you have to meet certain requirements. Like I think they have like meetings or something, or you have to dress a certain way. And what they do at the end, I think, is like you graduate ROTC and you get a higher rank when you first join the military. So you aren't that base, and you start at a higher rank. And I think there's like some other benefits, but I'm not extremely familiar.
There's a financial benefit, probably. We're actually going to meet with the Army recruiter in the next week or so, and so because my daughter's considering military, and so I need to find that out, because in my mind right now I can see two military options. One is you might join the military right out of high school, and a minimum of a 3-year commitment for that. He explained that some jobs, some career paths, give you have a 5-year minimum commitment, or 6-year, depending on what like the language school. If you're a language specialist, that's a 6-year commitment because they spent so much time and money to train you. But that all of that is based on. I mean, they don't just assign you a job. You have a huge say in it, and it's after you've taken this career interest aptitude test what you might be good at and what you're interested in all combined. And then in talking with them, they would help you find a career. And if you serve in the military full-time, that would be your full-time job for at least those 3 years, then, college is paid for, plus living expenses for at least 4 years of school. And so it sounds awesome. And but it's a huge commitment right out of high school. You're at this full-time job. You'd never go back to, it'd be really hard to imagine going back to living at home, taking some classes. You probably wouldn't even live in the dorm. You could because you'd be a college freshman, but you'd be 21 or 22,
Mm-hmm.
And so you'd be giving up that initial freshman college experience for that. And then the second option that I can foresee with the military, besides the ROTC, which I need to find out more, would be the Army Reserves or some type of reserve. Like there's National Guard reserves and there's other military. I don't know all the different military options, but where you would go to basic training, when you signed up or when you turned 18 or after you graduated high school. So that could be a few months, but then you are agreeing to serve 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer, and they pay for partial, I can't remember if it's a half or 3/4. They pay a lot of tuition and give you some living expenses, but you're not ever having to do that full-time commitment in years.
Okay.
So the ROTC would be a third option to look at. All of them give you great training and experience, and what I have heard from the Air Force and the Army now is that any career you can consider in the civilian world is a career in the military, and they will train you and they will pay for it, and then you can leave there after your 3, 4, 5, however many years it is that your minimum requirement is, and step right into a civilian job if you wanted to, or you can apply to college, and a lot of your military training would then count for college hours, and so you could graduate faster.
Okay, I got you. So it's kind of on your finances and like what you kind of want for the future. What do you want to pay for? Kind of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. How fast you're ready to cut all the ties with your family. Are you ready to be out on your own immediately? Or serve your country, but kind of ease into it, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And then kind of the last thing I meant to discuss for today is job hunting and kind of what to look out for that. Because I've noticed, I don't know, but I've heard some people, there will be a listing for a job, but it's already been filled, but they just kind of keep it out just for, just to see who will apply. So I've noticed definitely job hunting can get a bit harder, depending on what experience you have and just kind of what you're looking for. So what advice do you have for that job hunting thing?
Get as much experience as possible, even if it's not exactly in the specific job that you want, but it might be in that realm, in that field. Volunteer, even if you're making really good money and it's in the food service industry and that's not really where you see your career, that's fine. Keep that job, but then find a way to 1 day a week or even twice a month, or just find some way to get some experience in the field that you're interested in, because that is going to need to go top of the resume when you're applying, or the job application, because you want to show them that you can do that job. And you have to be able to say and articulate the skills that you have and how they can translate into the job that they need, even if you don't have that exact experience. So there are advisors or coaches that can help you phrase that. You can even look online, just use the internet as your friend. As I mentioned, universities and colleges all have career centers. I know our local junior college career center has a career advisor, and they are funded by the state, and they want to help. They don't care if you're enrolled or not. They're doing their job regardless of whether or not you're taking classes on their campus. And so take advantage of those opportunities to meet with them, ask them how best to apply for different careers, if they know of any jobs, if they have practice or mock interviews that you could take part in. Let them look at your resume. Let someone look at your resume. We have heard from the Christian Women's Job Corps here in Tyler, and she came and spoke, and they offer classes to women who are trying to get into the working world or into a professional setting. They've all only ever had non-professional jobs. And so they help you write your resume. They have resume writing classes to help you stand out, because if, like you said, it's so competitive. There might be 100 people applying for a job, and you want your resume to stand out so that you even get an interview. And if it doesn't stand out, or if it doesn't even show that you can do what they're asking, they're never going to call you. Okay. So you want to always be ready, always be professional. Make sure that you answer your phone and reply to voicemail messages, and that your voicemail is a professional message that's recorded, that your email address is not embarrassing or ridiculous. Any social media that's out there needs to present someone who would represent their company. Right. Does that help?
Yes, that does.
Answer your question.
And then, so I was wondering, kind of with colleges, with scholarship opportunities, kind of, you talked about like financial aid, depending on like how much your total house income is per year. But like for scholarship opportunities, I've seen like there's kind of like there's essay scholarships, and then there's like, various different kinds. So how do you know like what scholarships to apply for?
I know it can be hard, because if you do those scholarship searches like fastweb.net, or even through College Board, who does the SAT, a lot of them are just contests, and you can spend a lot of time and energy applying for these national scholarships or contests that you probably have a very small likelihood of getting. So I always encourage you to start local and then work out. So I would look in your local community. In Tyler, we have a scholarship program that is for just this area. I mean, the surrounding counties. And there are a lot of different scholarships that are awarded through them, but it's all to local students. And it is kind of a lengthy application, so that right there eliminates some people from actually finishing it and getting it done, and you have to meet the deadlines. I would also talk to your church and find out if they have any scholarships, because how many people are in your youth group. It may be, if they just give one scholarship, but you only have maybe 10 or 15 students that are graduating, maybe not even that, probably less than that are graduating. And then how many people actually applied for it or requested it. So your chances of getting it are a lot better. So I would say don't get burned out on doing all the national ones, and spend your energy local. And then your best source of money is going to come from the college or university that you're going to. So for sure, find out when their deadlines are and be well ahead of that. As soon as their application opens, really, you need to go ahead and try to submit your everything that you need. Right. Because a lot of it would be on a first-come, first-served basis. Other than that, I would try to find scholarships that are very specific, like from your denomination or your interest, your career, if you have asthma, or you have, find something that's very specific. And then and also if there's one that requires an essay, because a lot of kids are lazy and they don't want to do it. So get a good essay that you like, and you can probably tweak it for many different scholarship programs. Does that help?
Yeah, that does. So kind of just find a specific category. Don't go for the broad scholarships.
And never any that you have to pay money to enter, or where it sounds just like a sweepstakes or something. I mean, you can enter those if they're free and they're not asking a lot of personal information, but they're not scholarships. They're just, random lucky prizes.
Okay. And then kind of going more into like the SAT kind of thing. How would you say, does it really matter if you let's say you do take a gap year, or you take a few years off, and let's say you're no longer junior or senior, is taking the SAT still worthwhile?
Taking it after you've already graduated from high school.
Yeah, like let's say you've never taken it before. Would you say it's still like worth taking the SAT then?
No, I don't. No. I mean, I guess it depends on if the college that you're applying to requires it. A more selective college will tell you if they want it or not.
Okay.
Most schools now are optional, test optional for admission and even for scholarship. If you're in high school, I definitely recommend taking it, even if you are a senior, if you're planning on going to college, because it can help your chances of scholarships. Unless the scholarship deadline has already passed for the school that you're wanting to attend. Okay. So if you're a junior or below, definitely I recommend taking it because of scholarship purposes. Even if your school doesn't require it, some of those outside scholarships that we talked about definitely will. That's how they will have to somehow weed out the applicants. And because we're homeschoolers, we need something to help us stand out. And so because your GPA is kind of meaningless, unfortunately, to a lot of people. And your class rank especially, because we don't have class rank. Your GPA, I shouldn't say it's meaningless, but it's questioned. You know, if you took the majority of your classes with your parent, and your parent's the one putting them on your transcript, and your parent's the one notarizing or signing not notarizing, but signing your transcript, they want to see something else too. GPA is important. I shouldn't have said meaningless.
Right.
But they need something else to show that you are capable of doing well in their school.
Okay.
Or representing them well with the scholarship or whatever it is. So I do recommend it, taking it at least once. And I recommend both. I say take the SAT and the ACT at least once. Junior year is the primary time to take it, maybe summer after your junior year, so that you've got time to retake whichever one you did better on. Because you probably will do significantly better on one than the other. And that way you can still have time to take it either summer before senior year or fall of senior year. And many places will now super score, mix and match your highest score in each subject, even on multiple tests. So, you did great on verbal but didn't do as well on math. And then you take it again and you really focused on math, so your math score went up, but your verbal went down. But they'll take the highest of both from multiple tests.
Okay, so kind of like an average.
Mm-hmm. But once you have any college credit, well, I shouldn't say that. If you're going to apply as an older student or a transfer student, like it's not required to go to the junior college or it's not required for your first university, but now you want to transfer, you don't need that. It will all be based on your college GPA.
Okay.
Really what you've done in high school kind of goes away once you've got college.
Okay, so it's
college semester.
It's kind of replaced.
Yes.
Okay, and then with colleges, does it really matter with colleges, does it really matter which college you take? There's, we have a local one called, UT Tyler, and then, versus, A&M or, UT Houston. So, what differences do those make in kind of, with jobs and such?
I now don't think it makes much difference. Now, as a college admissions counselor, I was trained, and I really believe, we went to a more selective, harder college. This is important for you. This is going to help you in future years. But at this point now, a degree is a degree. The difference that it makes would be in connections. Because if your employer has a child at that university, or the place where you're interviewing, that they are alum of that school, or have the connection. The main difference I think now would be because of that connections. Like in Texas, A&M has a huge reputation, and UT too, but a huge reputation and a huge network of alums, and they're very fraternal. They're all
they're very connected.
Yes, and so in that case, it could open a door. Or start a chit-chatty, fun conversation before your interview or during your interview. Oh, yeah, did you ever do this? And we love this restaurant, and we hung out here, So that, to me, is the main thing. Because once you graduate from college and you get your first job, really, again, what you did in college or even what degree you got kind of doesn't matter. It's going to be based on your work experience and your references and how your current employer can speak to a future employer or your previous employer can speak to you. So it's kind of like once one door closes and you're on to the next phase, that last phase didn't mean so much. And sometimes I hate that because I'm like, well, how am I going to tell you about what I did in high school? My GPA in college was this. I did great on my comprehensive exam. But, no, I'm sorry. We're looking at your current work experience. What do you have right now? What have you done that's going to help with this job? So, sometimes you can find ways to work that into the conversation, but it's not really going to be a question in the interview once you have had a full-time experience.
Okay. And, with that, with, shadowing and, kind of getting we discussed, for high school, getting that job if you take a gap year. But can you do that with, college and, So I've heard of shadowing. I don't know a whole bunch. But I know, you can, interns and such. Mm-hmm. So would you say that's definitely a good thing to look into?
As a college student?
Yes, as a college student.
Definitely, yes. There's internships and job shadowing. I feel like job shadowing would mean you're not going to be given a lot of responsibilities and not a paycheck. You may or may not get credit. It may be required for a class. Someone's going to help you get that connection and get that position. There's a job shadowing program at the hospital. I just talked to a boy who has met with someone at Christus as a high schooler, and he's going to do some job shadowing this summer. So he'll just go and you're just kind of following along and seeing what they do. What do you do, in the course of a day? An internship, your college, maybe an advisor in your department is going to help you find a position that fits with your interested field. And so some of those are paid and some are not. Some are summertime and some are during the school year. I had an internship when I was in college. That was the spring semester of my sophomore year. That was not paid, but I got that experience, and I could always put on there that I worked in the governor's office, and I helped write speeches, and I did these kinds of things, So it's just the name, exposure, and the experience that you get. So it may or may not be paid. And then any work, if you actually do get part-time jobs in that field. All of that's definitely needed. And you might want more than one internship because you may do something, or job shadowing. You may do it, and you'll be like, I really don't want to do that every day not for my whole life, but maybe not even for a year. So it can kind of help open your eyes to other things, and you probably would want more than one internship or experience.
Okay. And then what year, when you're starting out college, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, mm-hmm. When should you start kind of looking into that shadowing? I assume probably not freshman, because, you're still, you mm-hmm. just got in, you're still kind of looking in that. What would you say is, the optimal or, prime year to kind of, start working and looking into that?
Yeah, I think sophomore year or junior year. Second semester of sophomore year or junior year. I mean, another option that comes up is study abroad options. And so you have your college, wherever you choose, is going to have some really cool study abroad options. And that can be for a whole semester. It could be for a summer. And so and that may or may not be related at all to what you want to go into as a career. It may just be a really cool opportunity. You'll never get this chance again, or you could get some course credit, electives out of the way. So you don't want to wait too late to get some of that hands-on work experience. So I wouldn't wait later than spring of your junior year, because by senior year, yeah, you may be doing an internship, but it's kind of with more of a focus in mind. Also, junior or senior year of college is the time to start thinking about testing again. You think about in your high school year when you're a junior, that's the time to think about the SAT and the ACT. Well, same thing in college, but then by the time you're closing out your junior year, summer before senior year, you're thinking about the testing needed for graduate school. So a lot of graduate schools take the GRE, I think it's a graduate records exam, and it's a lot like the SAT. But for law school, there's the LSAT. For med school, there's the MCAT. So if you want to go immediately after graduating from college, a lot of people say, I need to finish my undergraduate degree with as strong of GPA as possible. Then I'm going to work part-time, study for that test. Then I'll take the test and start, not start immediately after your undergraduate degree. They may take a semester or a year to take those tests and then apply and get in, because that's a whole other process. So some people don't rush it.
Okay.
But you might be working on that during your senior year too.
Awesome. And so just kind of a recap for the episode, just kind of with high school, just, with all the credits, make sure you have the basics, and then look into any online sources of, like, the colleges you're looking into. For the SAT, primarily, like, sophomore and junior year for the SAT and ACT. And then dual credits, I don't think we went over that as much, but we kind of did kind of go over that, of just, take a few. And then for the gap years, like, how they don't affect it, like, terribly, as long as you stay productive. It kind of depends, like, person to person, personality, work ethic. And then we have degrees and careers, and kind of, like, the degrees, they can affect it, and they also don't have to, depending on which career you're going into. And then kind of college versus no college. It, again, also depends on, like, what you want to do with the future, your life, You kind of said you're more towards college because it's, like, the experience, connections. On top of that, you get to learn. So, who doesn't love a good experience? And then kind of military with the ROTC. We didn't go over that quite as much because, both of us don't know a whole bunch about it, but it's definitely there, and it's definitely an option. And then just kind of, like, job hunting, and, like, just stay prepared, know your stuff, kind of. And, yeah, I would say, is there anything else you would like to add?
I guess one thing I didn't really talk about is your involvement in high school. It can be hard to think about and remember everything that you've done. And so as early as possible, jot down and keep a list going of the things that you've done. Because when you're applying to colleges or for scholarships, they're going to start asking, they want to know what you've done or been involved in from summer before freshman year all the way through graduation. And sometimes you and your parents may have to sit for a long time to try to remember, how many times did I go on that trip? And did we do that work day every year? Was that just once a year? And so it can be hard to go back and recreate it. And so if you begin early, keeping a record of your involvement in your activity, service, honors, awards, trips, work experience, even if it's not paid, just keeping up with that early will help you when you come time to start doing the applications.
Okay.
Awesome. So I forgot to say that.
Yeah. That's kind of why we have this, final notes section. But awesome. That concludes for today's episode. If you guys have any questions or comments, you guys can find us on YouTube or Spotify at Subject Shift, or email us at subject.shift24@gmail.com. And I'll see you guys in the next one.